Do you sometimes feel tired early in the morning at work? Do you feel drained and like you've just been going and going and going for way too long? Well, I know exactly how that feels. So stick with me, because in this week's episode, I want to help you to shift the way you do things so that you've got enough energy to be who you need to be in every area of your life. Hi, this is Grant Herbert, leadership and sustainable performance coach. And today I want to continue our conversation around the 9 crucial shifts that every leader needs to make so that they can thrive and survive in this super VUCA world by helping you to be more sustainable. Over the last little while, we've been talking about all the areas for these transformational shifts that I help leaders to go through so that they can create a bigger impact, have more influence, and create more income in their career. We've just completed the first area, which is around the personal leadership shifts. So now we want to start on the professional leadership shifts, and this week we're going to kick that off by talking about the shift in performance. Performance is something that we all do. It's something that we need to be able to do so that we can produce results. Results are what our bosses, our clients, our colleagues, our family, whoever want from us. So being able to perform is important. However, as we've talked about before, there are different types of performance and different motives for performing. We've talked about the fact that performing to get approval from others is not what it's about, because it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it, and your performance is what you do, but your identity is who you believe you are. And we talked about that a lot in the personal leadership shifts in the identity area. So let's talk about performance, your performance, and how you can do it in a way that allows you to have enough energy left at the end of the day to be who you need to be for every other area of your life. For me, I had a major issue with this because I was working flat out all the time. I thought that's what I had to contribute, was just the ability to keep going and to do more than everybody else. And what I did realize many years ago is I was doing that to get your approval, so that you liked me, so that you accepted me, and so that I felt like I belonged. That, coupled with this hustle and grind mentality that seems to be going on in the world right now, we've got this idea that we've just got to be a high performer all the time. And high performance is where it's at. And there's a whole industry and community built around high performance coaching. And high performance is great. However, long term, it can have some dramatic effects on your health. I remember standing in a presentation that I was doing in a law firm, and I was up, I think it was the 21st floor of a building. It was a beautiful day outside, and I was doing great. I'm smiling, I'm doing what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, I just had what I felt like this black cloud come over me. And I thought, what's going on here? And I didn't know. My body was giving me some sort of signal. But do you know what I did? I just kept smiling. I just kept going. I kept doing what it was that I needed to do, because I'm a high performer. I can just grin and bear it and keep going. And I didn't want them to know what was going on. And at the end of that presentation, and I shook hands with everyone, and they took me to the lift, and I got in that lift. When I got in, I allowed myself the space to then go, what's going on? Am I having a stroke, a heart attack? Is it what's going on? My body has just pretty well given up. And I had a number of meetings to do that day, and I just got on the train and went home. I went to the doctor, and it started a long road to recovery. I ended up with adrenal fatigue. I ended up with burnout. And that was the result of an unhealthy mindset working only in high performance. So the shift we want to talk about today is going from high performance to sustainable performance. This is where we realize that so that we can thrive and survive for the long term, we need to do things differently. We need to be a high performer when it's required, but we need to be able to make sure we do that in balance. We need to make sure that we understand the neurobiology of performance, and we understand that brain-body balance is important, and that taking care of self is the only way that you're going to be able to sustain any level of performance for a long time. We need to understand that it's okay to have times when we put in that extra effort. I know we've all got deadlines that are looming. We've got clients and team that want our attention. So there are times when we can set an intention to work that little bit differently and to keep that performance up for a particular period of time. Then though, realizing it's time for a break. You see, in the story I just told you, my body made that decision for me. What I want to encourage you to do is to look at the way you perform in a way that you see the clues and cues that your body's telling you, that you set yourself up in a way that it's prevention rather than reaction, where you are able to sustain what you're doing and teach a great lesson and be a fantastic mentor to those people that are around you. To do this, it's all about enhancing your executive function. The prefrontal cortex in your brain is your executive command center, and it needs to be hydrated. It needs to be rested so that it can do what it needs to do. It needs to be operating effectively emotionally. That's why emotional intelligence is so important. It needs to be able to be utilized in a way that is as if it's a finite resource and you've only got a certain amount of energy there and capacity. And you know what? That's true. So enhancing the way that you use your brain, use your body, that you space out what you're doing, that you do things like chunking your calendar and making sure that you set intentions before you go into the next thing that you're doing, that you take rests, that you set up your calendar so that you're doing things that take energy in a particular time of the day that suits your biorhythms, and that you exercise self-care and do things in balance with every area of your life. I don't know about you, but there's a lot more to me and what I want to achieve in life than my career and my business. So to be able to keep that energy reserve so that I can sustain that performance in every area of my life has now become my number one priority. I do not believe in that thing called work-life balance. It's a myth. It assumes that work and life are separate, and we know they're not. They're together. Work is just part of your life. And it even says that work is before life. So work, 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 work. And if you've got any energy left, you can have a life. No. Shifting your mindset, realizing that that's a myth, that it's an unattainable myth, that you need to just be able to look at your balance. I used to talk about perfect balance years ago, and there's no such thing as perfect balance, because your balance could be different to mine, because your biorhythms, your makeup, the work that you do, the other areas that you have in your life, they're different to mine. So work out what works well for you. Communicate that with others who can sometimes be involved in taking some of that energy. Work on your mental readiness, your physical readiness, your emotional readiness, and make sure that you're doing things in a way that are not just serving everybody else. They're serving you first. Well, that's it from me for another week. Join me again next week as we continue this conversation in now the professional shifts by looking at your positioning. This is about how you show up and how you allow the world to see you, whether that be the world within your career or outside of that, so that the right people are in line with you and opportunities open up everywhere. I'll see you then.